You can follow the NFL media analyst on Twitter at Mike Silver, Mike McGuire. You can read Mike's columns on NFL.com, same on the NFL Network shows such as NFL Total Access. If you gave Commissioner Goodell a mulligan, Mike, what would he do?
Well, now that he's in what appears to be a holy war with his former ally and friend Robert Kraft, I don't know. I think maybe he would play it the same way. I mean, I think in a perfect world, you could get the information from the Colts, give the Patriots the, hey, we've heard this, we're going to be testing, maybe knock it off if you are doing this phone call, have an untainted AFC championship game, and none of this ever happens. That would probably be for the good of the sport. But I think we've come so far down this road that it appears to be personal. So I don't think Roger Goodell right now is sitting there wallowing in regret. I think he's fighting for his power base and career, and I think Robert Kraft is clearly willing to fight on a level that we haven't seen from an owner in a long time. So get your popcorn ready.
Yeah, but why is the commissioner? Why is it personal? Why shouldn't he not make it personal?
I'm not. I don't know that it's personal. I just think it's business. But okay, let's go back and do the math. Robert Kraft helped Roger Goodell get in power and has been his biggest champion. When Roger was drowning in the ocean post-Ray Rice and possibly on the verge of not being the commissioner, Robert Kraft threw him a life raft and went to great lengths to help him. And now somehow we have a situation where Robert and the Patriots are so upset by this investigation and this penalty that all the gloves are off. So if you're Roger Goodell and you saw Tom Brady's agent Don Yee making outlandish, ridiculous statements, conspiracy theories, the league has an agenda, they're out to get the Patriots, it's a fraudulent investigation, and then yesterday morning you see the Patriots rebuttal, which they basically went public for PR purposes. That was not that was not some sort of appeal. That was, hey, we want to get our side out there. And it'd be one thing if you just wanted to rebut some of the points in there, because they did make some salient points that are worthy of discussion. But when you combine that with the rhetoric and then just the ridiculous things that insult all of our intelligence and destroy any credibility, I think, those of us who can think beyond team loyalties and have, a somewhat developed brain say, yeah, I'm pretty sure that those texts about the deflator, the guy with needles, the guy who took balls from the referee's room where there was a bathroom that he didn't use into a bathroom and locked it, I'm guessing that wasn't about weight loss, as they suggested. Or if a guy tells another guy, hey, I'm going to go to ESPN, ha, 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 probably not because he got some free shoes that the guy's boss didn't know about. Because, Dan, you've worked at ESPN, going to say that they probably wouldn't go big with that story.
No.
They might, however, go big with a story about a guy named the Deflator with needles who steals footballs before big games. So let's use some logic, and it's one thing to fight a punishment, it's one thing to fight a suspension, it's one thing to plead your case and get your side out there, but I think if you're Roger Goodell, you think that lines have been crossed.
Why do you suspend these two guys without pay indefinitely, but you're going to fight for the validity of what they're saying in their text messages?
That is the number one question that I had after I read the rebuttal. Because, look, they basically said, okay, cool, Ted Wells is going to do the investigation. Great, no problem. Then Robert Kraft issued a statement after the Wells report came out saying, I really don't like this. I think this is wrong. I disagree with this and this, but I'm going to accept the punishment. Then they got the punishment, and not only was it war, but if you combine Don Yee, who is in a de facto way speaking for the Patriots' cause, and what the Patriots themselves released yesterday, it's basically saying, well, you have it out for us. This was not a fair investigation. So if you're Roger Goodell, who, has the power under the CBA to hear the appeal or delegate it. By the way, Robert Kraft helped fight for that power against Jeffrey Kessler of the NFLPA, all sorts of interesting bedfellows right now. But you have the power, so now you're sitting there going, okay, well, I could appoint someone independent, and let's say that the penalty's upheld. I'm sure these same people will then say, well, that person's biased. They had it out for the Patriots. So you know what? I'm just going to handle this one myself. And then people say, well, they'll just go to court. That all sounds really good when you're mad and you want to fight and you think you're aggrieved, but it's kind of messy. If you're Tom Brady, who is being penalized, I believe, largely for failure to cooperate, not turning over electronic messages, and you go to court where there's discovery and testimony under oath and depositions, all of a sudden, maybe you're not loving that position. And
yeah, but I got a problem, though, Mike, with that Brady is labeled a cheater because he didn't cooperate. That's a pretty big leap there. I have a problem with that.
I think that's your terminology. I'm not saying Tom Brady is a cheater because he didn't cooperate.
The average fan.
Under the CBA, the NFL is his de facto employer in matters pertaining to integrity of the game.
Mike,
his employer said, we want to investigate, we want these records. Tom Brady said no. Under the CBA, they have the power to request that. If he says no, I understand that it's America. You don't have to turn it over, but you also don't necessarily get to fight the discipline. If the NFL said to me, we want to see your phone, we're investigating something, I might not turn it over, but I also would, while not turning it over, say, and you better not fire me or suspend me. I mean, at some point, that's the CBA, that's the power that Robert Kraft and 31 other owners delegated to the league as the de facto employer. I think all of us can agree that if our employer is investigating something and has the power to ask us to turn something over and we say no, we're probably getting punished. So, again, I'm not saying Tom Brady's a cheater because he wouldn't turn it over. I mean, certainly a reasonable person would say the most likely reason someone wouldn't turn things over is that person would feel as though it would incriminate him or her. But what I am saying is that I believe a large part of his specific punishment is because conduct detrimental to the league, failure to cooperate. And that's not something that's easy to win on appeal because it happened. There's not a lot of dispute. And by the way, the first thing I would say if I was hearing his appeal is, okay, let's see it. So we'll see where he stands on that.
Any chance it's reduced?
Yeah, I think there is a chance it's reduced. I do think that a case can be made on the other front, the evidence. Does it specifically say that Tom Brady knew of some scheme to deflate the footballs? And they may be able to persuasively fight that battle. And I also think that a deal is there to be made, but each side keeps, especially the Patriots side and Brady's agent, keep ramping it up to the point where a deal gets tougher and tougher. A deal would have been the smart course of action, I believe. And really, at what price victory? Because there are two fights here. The Patriots and Tom Brady, respectively, are fighting a first-round choice, a fourth-round choice, $1 million, and 4 games without Tom Brady on the field. I know that's a big penalty. They just won a Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure they can survive that, and that's not going to break that franchise. But the second fight is legacy, reputation, and how we all end up feeling about this franchise and this unbelievably special quarterback for a long, long time. And when you put things on record where you're saying in a document released by your franchise, hey, the deflator was all he was doing is talking about losing some weight, that is just incredible. I think that's a stain that you are going to have to overcome for a long time. And if your agent is out there talking about aliens and conspiracy theories, he loses credibility. And when you're not speaking, Tom Brady, except for a joke of an event at Salem State that you decided to let cameras into and said nothing, then people like me who love you and are on your side and think that you're not only one of the greatest players ever, but one of my favorite people I've ever covered. People like me are like, dude, let's hear an explanation, because right now what's out there is a lot of evidence that points to tampering and nothing from you other than an agent who speaks nonsense. And so that's, to me, the equation. Yes, you can fight it. Yes, you have every right to challenge it. You might get it reduced, but it's very, very reasonable that people on the outside are going to have these feelings, and, you might want to consider all of that.
Thank you, Mike. Have a good weekend.
Appreciate it, Dan. I will.
That's Mike Silver.